Hello and welcome to Experts Live UK Community Voices. This series is all about the people behind the Microsoft community, their stories and how they got where they are today. In each episode, I sit down with speakers, experts and community leaders from across the Microsoft ecosystem to talk about their journey, how they got started, what sorts of challenges they faced and what led them ultimately to where they are today. So, whether you're just starting out in your career or you're deep into your career in tech, the goal here is to share real stories and real lessons and of course real experiences from the community. And today, as with most times, I'm joined by my co-host Geoff Ross. Hello Geoff.
Hello, Bruce. Yes, fantastic to be here again. Thanks for having me.
Good. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for joining me again. How's your day been?
Always busy, but good. Last time we were just me and you. Last time I was on this, so it's nice to see we've got a guest back.
It's good to have a guest back. Exactly. It's a lovely segue to me introducing our very special guest for today. So we're joined by Laura Graham-Brown. Laura, you're an MVP and freelance Power Platform and Microsoft Fabric trainer and consultant. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me. Great to be here.
Thank you for joining us and taking the time. We appreciate it. So probably a good place to start is tell us a bit about yourself. Who are you and what do you do?
So I'm that consultant who sits between the data world and the Power Platform world. I've for many years been a freelance trainer, which got me into doing an awful lot of citizen development and citizen training. So most of my career was training, which led nicely into being able to stand up and present. That's for me. That's not actually that scary anymore. And I'm the person that understands how Power BI works with Power Automate and how. So I've never been a data engineer, and I'm not the person.
You're the person. Okay, I've been looking for that person.
I'm the person that understands how these things sit together, and I'm the one that kind of does some of the things that fall down the gaps. I was the person in one of the places I did some work. I was the person that would do all the Power Platform data flows because nobody else would. And those kind of things, because the Power Query part doesn't belong to Power Platform, it belongs to the data team.
That was one of my questions, really. So what is and what isn't the Power Platform? Because I think what I thought it was is wrong.
We could be here all day on that question.
So for me, the Power Platform part is your Power Apps, your Power Automate, Copilot, Studio, I think's in there. Not sure on that. I'm not sure about that. That's not my speciality. And dealing with it on that side. Whereas Microsoft Fabric is add to the Power BI workspace some of the tools from Azure. So an awful lot. So databases, warehouses, lakehouses, proper data flows, rather than Power Platform ones. Sorry, gonna upset someone there. They've come from Azure, and there's some other things that Microsoft have added, but it's very much in the data house, very much aimed at the data people, and they kind of wrenched back Power BI away from the Power Platform family again. Poor old Power BI does get passed around, and so that's where that sits. And so
that's good to know.
I work with some data people and I work with some Power Platform people to kind of stitch some of those things together. Because you can put a Power App pointing at data in Fabric, and you can take Dataverse data and put it into Fabric. So there's all those things that you can do. They're and they overlap. They don't, of course, in Microsoft. Microsoft don't. They're kind of two very, very separate teams. But amongst the users, it does.
Like that.
Yeah, it does.
Among the users, it does. Yeah.
Amongst the users, it overlaps.
That's interesting to hear. Well, so what's the sort of differences then? When would you use one rather than the other? Or is it a case of they're aimed at different people but they do the same thing? Yeah.
No, they're not. They don't do the same thing. Well, there are some overlaps nowadays. But if you're wanting to edit your data, it's a Power App. But if you want to report on your data, it's Power Automate. Now, Fabric does include some ways to edit your data. And on the Power Platform side, we do have some ways to play around with data. They're all appalling at it on the Power Platform side, but then Fabric is appalling at some of its other things. So they kind of complement and overlap a little bit, and just as in the same way as bring in Excel from M365, which has earned me my money for about half my career, it yet again overlaps with both of them
Mm.
and does things that
Mm,
both of them can't. So they all overlap a little bit, and it really
mm,
depends what
mm.
licenses we walk into a company and what they've got.
I see. I
Do
see.
you think you're
That's a
quite
really
unique?
good way to think about it. Go on,
Sorry, just
Jeff.
ask. Do you think it's quite unique, Laura, that you sort of live in both worlds? I mean, people tend to have a speciality,
There
but the way you've described it, it sounds like it's they're so closely together that you kind of need to know both.
there are a few people who overlap with them both. Um, Normally they step into the data security people, the governance people, those kind of people. They step in and they
Mm.
cover them both. To do it at the level to do, I always turn around and say I am the Power Platform consultant that knows what a Power BI report is, because so many of
Mm,
them
mm.
don't. Um,
Interesting.
and it's but then I'm also the person that sits on the fabric side who understands what a Power App is. So I enjoy annoying, but I go to both sides of conferences, and I'm involved in both communities. Um,
Mm,
but I didn't start there. I started in the SharePoint communities.
mm.
Um,
Let's dig into that then. So how did you get started?
One of my biggest clients fired their SharePoint trainer. I had never seen SharePoint. And they said to me, "You're our new SharePoint trainer." And I went, "Uh-huh." And they went, "Yeah, yeah. In 3 weeks' time, you're running a course." And I went, "Uh-huh." And it's all right. We've bought you some books. And they'd bought
Okay.
me 2 books written by Penny Coventry. And so I went home and went, "Oh my goodness, how's this going to work?" And they'd give me a login and all those kind of things that I needed. I had never even seen SharePoint. But I'd
Was this
worked,
back sort of SharePoint on-prem days or more recently?
it was when I started with them, it was SharePoint on-prem, but it was 2010. I didn't have to cope with 2007.
Okay, yeah, it's
So I
still
then
pretty
went
rough
and
in the edges.
did the searching to go and find some information. And then I found that there was a SharePoint Saturday up in Leicester. I think it was Hinckley actually, but somewhere up there. And Penny Coventry was going to be there.
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
went. I'm really shy. Most people don't realize I'm shy, but social situations, I shut down and I'm incredibly shy and it's really hard. So the day happened. There was a thing announced about it being a SharePoint in the bar. I wasn't going to go to that. That involves people. But I helped this guy put away his stand because he was struggling, and I can step. And he was trying to put away on these like big pop-up stands. He was trying to put it away. It just wasn't working. So I helped, and he turned around and said, "Well, I've got left over all these beer tokens. Here, have some beer tokens." So I had a big handful of beer tokens, and it's like, well, I at least ought to walk into the inn and put them on a table so other people can have them. And I walked into the bar and put them on top of the bar and gained 4 friends instantly.
I
Yeah,
was
Um,
going to say
beer is
that's
an
the
excellent
secret,
way
but
to make
maybe it's not
friends.
that big a
excellent way.
secret. Yeah.
And a wonderful guy called Andy Talbot, who used to be very active in the SharePoint world, was brilliant and looked after me. And then I also met a guy who ended up being my mentor when I started speaking, and still is a very good friend. And I got talking. Couldn't have any beer because I had a car parked outside. If I had known, and I now would know that, Lord, just book yourself into a hotel. Just do it. Um, but that was my first ever community event. I was not aware any of it existed before then.
How did
It's really
you find
interesting.
out about it? They said the SharePoint Saturdays.
I
Where
searched
did
for
that?
SharePoint and I thought,
Oh,
well,
okay.
maybe Penny's got a site. And I searched for SharePoint Penny Coventry,
And it
who
just
has
came
now
up.
retired from community. But when the Power Platform community started in the UK, she was the driving force. She was um, the mum of the community. She looked after us all and got us all going. And she was an MVP, I think, for 13 years.
A long
Um,
old time.
in doing the SharePoint parts, and anybody who's been in the SharePoint or Power Platform world long enough knows Penny. She's now
Hmm.
retired, quite sensibly, gone off to play her golf. But
Sounds like a good plan.
that was my
Um,
launch, and that was the first conference I spoke at. Was
hmm,
a SharePoint that SharePoint Saturday 2 years later.
That's cool. That's nice.
hmm. So that's what
Yeah,
I was sort of getting ready to ask, effectively. So, what does community look like today for you?
community looks today is unbelievable in lots of regards. I am incredibly lucky. I touch on different communities. So in the next couple of months, I am speaking at SQLBits, a big
Hmm.
data conference in the UK.
Yeah.
I'm then off to, that's in April, and then in May, I'm off to
Hmm.
June 11th and 12th. I'll get the
See,
plug
I
in.
knew
Yeah.
I was trying to get them in the right order. I'm thinking, is it June or July? I can't
And I
remember.
think, Laura, you've just dropped an absolute spoiler, which is, by the way, absolutely fine. So, yes, just to confirm, Laura is going to be speaking at Experts
Well,
Live
if I'm
UK,
not,
Yes.
I'm going home now.
June
Um,
11th and
Don't worry.
12th. Very
We don't want
excited.
to. We don't want to lose you as a guest. So yes, very much. I'm very happy to
and
have you.
it's being able to touch those different communities. So the data community is a very different community, and I've spoken at South Coast and Scottish, very much Power Platform conferences, and I've done for them fabric workshops, and I've gone into um, the data world and talked about Dataverse because, and it's very much being the person that can talk both sides of the fence. I'm not an expert, and I bring in the experts when I'm Dataverse permissions. Black magic as far as I'm concerned.
Missions in general, in my experience, black magic.
SharePoint
Hmm.
permissions, I can still do. I can still do those. The rest
Hmm.
of it, you can keep. But it's for me, it is a mix. And I love the fact that it's a mix. I love the fact that different conferences, I see different people. I see different speakers. I've just come back from Tallinn. The Tech Tallinn, so there's a C in there
Cloud,
somewhere.
Cloud Tech
Cloud Tech
Talent.
Talent, is it?
Cloud
Yeah.
Tech Tallinn. There used to be another T in there, but it's still in the logo. Um, and that was a fantastic conference to be able to do some Power BI stuff, but there to be a whole bunch of Copilot AI, of course, and some Power
Hmm.
Platform mixed in amongst it. And I love that. I love the fact that I get to go in and be the expert in what I do. I found my niche. Um, and that I think is one of the things in community is to find a thing you can speak about that is your buzz. You don't have to copy
Hmm.
anybody else. You don't have to keep up with anybody else. It doesn't matter if you're doing the same as somebody else. That really doesn't matter because you've just got a different way of saying it. But actually find the thing you enjoy speaking about and enjoy educating everybody. Um, and we will get off the Copilot and the AI buzz eventually, I promise. But at the
Yes. Yes, it
minute,
will end.
conferences are just full of it. And so I've been known to put up a slide that says this is a Copilot free zone. Um, but actually, this year I'm
I've seen
doing
that
some
slide.
sessions that have Copilot in the title, so I have to do some of it. But that's what community looks like for me.
That's
It's a
great to
whole
hear.
mix, and I love it.
So there is a you've listed a whole bunch of different events there across multiple different kind of countries. So I'm really interested to find out, like, when you go to a different set of conferences, do you have a set of standard decks? Do you put something together that's unique for each one? How does that work for you?
Um, there are some sessions I do which go to different conferences. Power BI and Dataverse is one of those topics that I've presented at Power Platform and I've presented at Data. I have different slides for them because um, they have different priorities for people. The data world hates the way Dataverse behaves. It's got so many things in there that just break
Yeah,
polymorphic
too much
columns.
abstraction, isn't it?
They should not exist as far as the data world
Of
is
those
concerned.
is.
Um, and there's all sorts of things in there that the data world find kind of like, why is it like this? Why does that table have 150 columns before I've even added anything? And why are there over 100 tables, which are all empty? Why does this exist? Um, so there's those kind of, so I present it very differently to the data world, explaining that it was built to build apps. That's its priority. That's why it's there. That's what's there. And you have to understand these things. And then turning it up on its head to talk to Dataverse people going, no, you can't have all your columns. No, you can't have direct query. The answer is no. This is why we do this. And here are some of the things to make it work. And so I enjoy both. I enjoy both because I take the mickey out of both sides, and that's my aim in sessions, is to make people laugh. And I take
That's
and
awesome.
it
Well,
works.
we've talked on this podcast before about how um, these events are more than just the speakers, and they take everyone participating to kind of to make the event,
Yes.
organisers, sponsors, everyone participating. So I just want to ask, I know you from speaking and from being at the front, but what do you enjoy about community away from that when you get a chance to actually take a break from that and do something else?
So I've this year I've attended some events where I've not been a speaker at all.
Mm.
Um, and some of my community friends have been the people who we've been out for lunch. We've been out. We've gone and done the silly things. We've done the karaoke, etc., around events. Um, and some of them are incredibly that they've become incredibly supportive when I've needed somebody to talk to. They've been those kind of friends. Um, the my so in the last few years I've had a co-speaker, Claire, and so that's where I was staying last night. Um, and it's been brilliant because her and I have been at one conference. We went off and found a games cafe to go and play
That's cool.
games and things. Um, the meals out and stuff that goes round it for me is really important. There's a whole bunch of people I know, and it's been lovely to watch. I mean, I'm in my 50s. I'm heading towards the end of my career. I know I am, and I love what I do. But it's really nice to watch some of the people starting out in their career, doing a very different career to me, very different way of doing it, but actually seeing what the community is for them in that career and how the community helps them
Mm.
get there. Um, when I decided madly to go and try working for a partner, it was because of community that I walked through the door.
Mm. Mm.
I didn't really I my reputation out on the community got me the job, and my networking got me the people to go and ask, have you got a job?
Mm.
So that network, even if you're not a speaker on stage, and I know people who aren't speakers on the stage but still have that network, still have all those people
Mm.
that they make use of and that they
I,
talk to.
Yeah, that really resonates with me. We shared on the last episode. The network was there for me when I needed it in a very very recent job transition to the role I'm sort of currently in, and I've been in this role for now 2 weeks, so very very
Congratulations.
fresh in mind. Thank you very much. Very very exciting for me. But I've had people since talking about this topic message me and ask effectively. I'm not a speaker. I don't think meetups are for me. Should I still kind of go? And from what you've just said there, it backs up exactly my experience, which is absolutely go. Because it doesn't matter about whether you're a speaker or not. The value is in everyone that's there, and
The
everyone has unique experiences.
And you've got to work out what your beer tokens are.
Mm.
What's going to
I
be
love that.
your thing that gets you talking to some people. So for the Tallinn conference, I took my husband. My husband is not in the community at all. He in theory, because he's been TP'd a few times, has got 40 years service in one job. He graduated, got a job, that's it. He's also quite shy guy, but perfectly technical. I mean, he's an IT security expert. That's what he does. And he wanted watching him, and I did from afar, watching him standing talking to people about things and enjoying it. And actually, he did 2 days where I barely saw him. He loved it, and that for him. And there's an AI user group we go to together, and there are people there that he goes without me if I'm not around, and that's really important. It means you've got your contacts. And one of the things I always turn around to everybody and say is, your employer should support you doing it, as in
Yes, agreed.
back it up, because I have a WhatsApp group which isn't MVPs. It's an open WhatsApp group, but due to community, that I can go in to go, has anybody got any experience of this?
Hmm.
And 9 times out of 10, I have an expert replying to me going, yeah, Laura, do you want to jump on a call?
Mm, that is so valuable.
Mm.
That is so
That's worth its
valuable.
weight in gold.
Mm,
That I
mm,
and yes, I have other groups of MVPs and stuff and speakers, etc., that I can go to, which gives me, and I have contacts in Microsoft. But
mm.
actually, that group that I can go to, which isn't MVPs, it's just full of a whole bunch. I can go, okay, guys, I've done this, and I have a reputation for things being broken because of me. It's not me, but years and
Ha,
years ago, at one conference, Western Europe Azure went down, which, as you can guess, it impacted a lot of people. Um,
yes.
but mostly, as far as I was concerned, it impacted me being unable to save any flows. So
Mm-hmm.
therefore, my 6 demos that were due to do in a session, none of them worked. So I had a session
Mm-hmm.
which was very heavy on the demos, and I couldn't do any of them. And so after that, it's become a joke of, Laura, such and such is down, or Copilot Studio's down. You're not doing that, are you? And I went, no, no, not me this time, not me this time. It's not me.
How did you handle that
Oh, gosh.
situation when you've got a live demo and you can't give it?
Um, in that one, I could partly give it, but I just couldn't finish it off. And um, I'm capable of standing up in front of people and talking about what would have happened and various things, and I talk them through various things, and it just became a bit of a joke. Um,
It's a little bit easier when you can fully blame Microsoft
oh yeah,
rather than
that
yourself as
is
well.
Yes.
Like that
that.
becomes a
Yes, that,
nice
that, that
running joke,
helps.
doesn't it?
And sat in the back corner was actually Chris Webb from Microsoft, which that was unnerving. That was a bit scary because he is kind of like the expert at data flows, and I was doing Power Query, so he and I turned around to him and went, Chris, what's broken? And he went, I don't know. But then about 5 minutes later, somebody went, Western Europe zero's down. That's why you can't
Mm,
save, Laura. The bit where community came in on that one, I had later in the day at the same conference a introduction to Power Automate session to do. And I'm not come and said, I can't do that without being able to save a flow. It's not going to work. By the
mm.
end of that session, I had at least 4 offers of a login on a tenancy that worked.
That's awesome. That's really great.
And that's where community is absolutely stunning. In the
Mm,
fact that there was, I mean, I had somebody turn around and go, Laura, I've just got the okay from my IT team to give you a login. Is Laura GB all right? And it's kind of like you're not even giving me one of your temp training logins. You've given me
mm.
one with my name on it.
That's pretty good going. That's pretty good going. And a fast turnaround as well. Even more impressive.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
were there to rescue a trainer. They were there to support. And that's where I think it's worth being part of the community. And if somebody wants to speak, everybody in that room, whatever conference you are at, wants you to succeed, wants it to
Mm.
go well. So yes, we can get some very negative feedback if you have a really rubbish session and you've done no prep. You do need to do all of that. But if a demo goes wrong, they cope. They let you do it. They support you. And I've had demos go horribly, horribly wrong. And I've had demos that's kind of, I've done a mistake and it's just not worked. And then it's kind of, and I've gone, oh, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. And I fixed it. And then I've got a round of applause because I fixed it.
That's great. That's the ultimate version of community support. The
Yeah.
worst I've had was we did a virtual conference in 2022, I want to say, and Cloudflare took the virtual conference platform's video down for a good chunk of time, like probably an hour, hour and a half. And because, it had just occurred, we had no idea why. There's me as sort of host and compere scrabbling around trying to find out what's even gone on.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's
Fun.
it's
How
it's
you.
when things like that happen, it's just like, oh boy, boy. Um,
I think I mean, I've not dealt with a lot of other communities outside the Microsoft tech community, but I've had various experiences, and I think that's something fairly unique. Maybe to tech, but I think probably to Microsoft community is that it's just that everyone genuinely wants the best for people, wants to succeed. It's not a kind of competitive space between various experts and people. And yeah, there's so much support out there for anyone who wants to be involved in any capacity. Everyone's welcome in any capacity.
yeah, I
And
don't.
yeah, that idea of like everyone's here to help succeed, or I'll give you a login to my tenant, whatever it is, like you don't get that
Mm,
in the kind of business world speaking space, which I've had a little bit of experience in. It's very competitive, and if you do worse, that makes me look better in comparison. So I almost want to wish
Yeah,
that on you. That's the experience
mm,
I have seen, and it's not at all fun.
and I think
no.
when and I think it might be true at some of the other community conferences, and there very much is a difference between the community conferences and the very commercial conferences. And that's not,
Mm,
and you end up with community conferences where people have paid for a ticket. That's not the difference, but there are some conferences that have more of a community feel than other
mm,
conferences do. So SQL bits, people pay. I know people pay because heck, I've bought some tickets um, to go through that door, but it's still very, very much a community conference. We
mm,
we know that the most speakers are going to get there is that their hotel's being paid for them. Um,
Mhm.
and the rest of it is that they're there because we enjoy being a speaker, or we're trying to be an MVP, or whatever it is, whatever you're there for. But
mm.
it's still got that feel. And where there's some
That's good
other Microsoft
and important.
conferences that aren't so community feel, it is very much a commercial enterprise, etc. Um,
Mm.
I remember my first time at Microsoft Ignite, and by contrast, most of my conference experience before have been things like Express Live, which very much are sort of community feel and being like, "Ooh, this feels quite different and quite sort of corporate by contrast." The sort of the session material is great, but the opportunities for learning outside of it are less sort of great in my sort of experience versus the community conference. And bringing this back to Experts Live and to our little community, what are you planning to talk about at Experts Live UK in June?
I don't know which session you've picked. You didn't expect me to answer
Ooh,
that, did you?
I didn't know, I didn't, and I didn't know the answer to that question, so I
No,
can't help with that.
I've submitted a couple of sessions to you guys, and I think we've still got to decide
I think we're
which one
still
you
working it out.
which one
We're
Yes,
still working it out.
which one you want me to
Right.
do.
something about data and Power Platform would
It's
be my
it's it's gonna
guess.
be it's gonna be bridging that gap. It's gonna be bridging that gap between the two. So hey, yeah, no, and it's and
Fair enough.
no, that I have to confess, I've literally just come off a 2.5 hour drive, um, to walk into the office and go, and let's log into a call. So my apologies if you sent me an email.
No, no, it's quite right,
No,
and
no,
I'm
that's
sure
right.
that's partly on me for not realising we hadn't actually picked the session rather than just the user speaker. So there we are. Every day's a school day.
Every day's a school day. No, and it's and I've been speaking long enough now that I have a set of sessions that I do. There's usually some Power Automate in there. There's usually some Power BI in there of some sort. Um, and there's a whole bunch of different sessions that I've got out there. And I'm now trying to remember what I've submitted to you guys, but we'll get there in a second.
That's okay. It's all good.
Well,
It's all good.
we've got time to figure it out,
Aside
and we'll
from
announce
sort
it.
of, sorry, go for it, Jeff.
I'll say we've got a bit of time to figure it out, and then we'll be announcing it with all the speakers. So stay tuned for that. All those announcements.
Yes, coming very soon.
I just want to jump
Um,
back to a word that Bruce you said a minute ago. Well, maybe 10 minutes ago now. Meetups.
hmm,
There's been a lot of talk about conferences, and that we have our Expert UK conference in June. But I actually first met you, Laura, at a meetup at the South Coast user
Yes,
group.
South Coast User Group, yes.
And yeah, I just think meetups are just a great place to get started in the community.
Yeah,
We've talked
definitely.
about how conferences often have a ticket price. Meetups are generally completely free, so it's really, really great. They tend to be more local,
They're
smaller
also,
group.
yeah, they're also, yeah, they're smaller. So actually, it's less daunting
Mm, exactly.
for
Yeah,
some
for
people.
both attending or if you want to start speaking.
Yeah,
User groups are also a great space to learn, aren't they?
yeah, no, no, I did a couple of user groups before I walked in and did the SharePoint Saturday. There are some conferences, and the conferences kind of go up in grades. So you can end up with some conferences like the SharePoint Saturdays and Collab Days. And there's a few other ones out there, the 365 Day, which is kind of like bigger than a user group, but not a conference. As in,
Okay.
it hasn't got a conference feel about it. There isn't quite so many hundreds of thousands of people running around. And the conferences kind of change in size. So as to what the feel is and what the pressure is. So I managed to do my tick box. I did FabCon, the first one, out in Vegas. And it's kind of, yep, I've ticked the box. I've spoken in Vegas. Don't need to do it again.
Yeah,
And and
it's
it,
an experience.
yeah, it's an experience. So I walked miles. But give me a um more local conference. Give me a more of a chance. You get more of a chance to speak to people. You get more of a chance to get a relationship with people in the room. Speakers have more time, etc., etc.
Mm,
Much rather that. I, I, yes, it's nice to have done some of the big conferences. To say I've done it, I'm very fond of SQL Bits, as a conference, and some other ones that are out there. And then my one in Cologne. They're my two favourite big conferences. But if I didn't do any others, I wouldn't have a problem. I could stick to use. I went to one user group last year where we had two people.
I've run those meetups before, user groups. So,
and do you know
yeah,
what? As
but
an
I mean, at the end of the
organizer,
day,
you can't help feel a bit disappointed with that, I'm sure. But actually, on the night, you have a great time,
So
right? Because
yeah,
yeah,
it's super intimate. It's one conversation.
yeah.
Everyone's like part of it.
The me and the other speaker that came, we both brought a friend. They weren't the two people. There were two other people.
Okay.
And we'd both driven 2 hours to get there. But apart from that, which just made it hilariously funny. But
yes.
we had a great conversation about
Mm.
how to break data agents. Um, and moved on from there. Oh, yeah, it was a good evening.
Yeah, exactly.
I can
And
imagine so.
user groups.
One thing I must ask about before we run out of time is in addition to speaking and training, you have a blog and you have a YouTube channel as well, which I guess there's a good bit of overlap there with training. Tell us about those.
So, um, one of my first speaking I did in the data world was talking about some SVG visuals in Power BI, and I needed some notes to be able to nick bits of code, and so I wrote up a whole thing of how to do it. And I'm a trainer, so actually writing up training notes of how to do something, I've been doing forever. Um, and so I put together the instructions, thinking I could add it into a course. And then one of the speakers turned around to me and went, "So why isn't it a blog? Where's your blog?" Um, I went, "Oh, okay, maybe." And then somebody asked me to put up a post about something else on another blog site, and I realised that actually no, I can do this. And so I worked out, and then I spent a whole weekend trying to work out what the hell I was going to call this blog. Um,
And what did you land on
Yeah,
for a
what's it called?
name? How do people find you?
it's called Hatful of Data. Um, I'm a Terry Pratchett fan, and one of my favourite books is Hatful of Sky.
Ah,
And
I was going to ask you why the name.
so I swapped out Sky for Data. And I've always liked hats. I've been known to wear a hat on numerous occasions. Um, and so I started my blog, and then after a while, I worked out some of the things I was going to do a YouTube channel. I'm not very good at putting up the YouTubes, I have to confess. So I've not done very many recently. But I have now got immune to my own voice. Editing videos with your own
Ah,
voice is horrible.
takes a
Hmm.
while, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
It's one
yeah,
thing that this has sort of taught me. These podcasts, there's only so much of my own voice I'd like to hear, but you
yeah.
do kind of get used to it after a while, don't you?
And especially if you're trying to do some technical videos, so you're trying to chop out the bit. So the number of times it's going to go, oh, I did that stupidly wrong, didn't I? And out come all the expletives, and you have to edit those. You can't edit that bit now, and then we're trying to line it. I don't.
yeah. So let's do. Oh no, to cue it up exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
My
a
one tip from that is don't have headphones because it's bad as your own voice, but listen to your own voice right in your own ear is
yeah,
even worse. So
yeah.
put it on speakers, and at least you've got some sort of separation from your own
And
voice.
it's and I have just learned to I I try and do them in one shots nowadays.
Yeah.
Let's
It's
just
the
do it.
same.
Let's just do it in one shot
Yeah.
rather than. Or if I am going to do it in multiples, I've worked out the blocks I'm going to do. But I try and do 5 to 10 minute videos, and that's it. That's enough. That's enough. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and
I
I
think
think
that
there's
works
something a
from
bit more real about an
yeah.
unedited video as well. Like when it's all really choppy, you can tell they've cut bits out, and you think, well, like
Yeah.
what are you hiding? Whereas when it's just one take, you occasionally goes, oh, hang on, click the wrong thing, go back, there you go. Like
Yeah.
it feels more genuine, which is what we all want, right, in content.
Indeed, indeed. So not worrying about essentially the polished outcome, not worrying about the ums and ahs quite so much, and just letting it be organic and real. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But if I'm honest, my blog is my notebook.
Mm.
So
I
my
love that.
so the just recently I've been doing a series on variable libraries inside Fabric. For those that are Power Platform people, environment variables for Fabric. Um, and that is because I've worked out how some of them work, and there's some oddities and there's some weirdities that you have to do. And this is just me just writing it down and having and there's so I have a Fabric workshop that sits on my GitHub, also called Hatful of Data, and I deliberately have that because there are points I go into a client and they go, Laura, how do we do da 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 da? And I said, wait a minute, let me just go and find the right chapter. Right, this is how we do it. And I just copy and paste the bits that I've got from my blog. And there are some sessions I do which I openly go, look, here's my blog. I'm copying those bits of code from there
Mm,
because I want some people to be able to see me do a demo and then go, I need to do the demo in order to understand what she did
Mm. Mm.
and give them the materials for
Practical
that.
takeaways.
Yeah,
Practical
practical
takeaways.
takeaways.
Yeah.
And that's how I've developed it a bit. Is my speaking is that actually give people the materials and the tools to be able to replicate what you did what you did in front on stage.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Mm.
I know another
Makes
MVP
sense.
who says his blog is for himself more than anybody else, right?
Oh
And
yeah,
he looks it up all the time. He's like, oh, how do I do that thing? And he goes and reads his own blog. And the first time I saw him do it, I thought, what are you doing? That's a bit arrogant. Reading your own blog. He's like, well, no, like it's my own notes. Why would I
no,
Mm.
not
it's
read it when I need to know how to do something?
and it's the point at which I went searching for something on Google. And it's kind of, I'm searching, I think, oh, there's got to be a way to do this. I'm sure I've done this before. And then the fourth one down, thinking, oh, that's my blog post. That's
Right.
how we do it. Okay, but and yes, it's a touch arrogant,
No,
but
it's
you know,
not.
but
It's
but you
not. I
know
don't think
what?
it is.
To get on the stage and think I can teach you something is why us MVPs we're a lovely bunch of people, but MVP does stand for massively vocal person. Um,
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. At the end of the
And
day,
we enjoy showing
I
off a little bit, and it's
yeah, and that's part of it.
it is part of it, and it's and it's and
Mm.
it's an arrogance or confidence, however you're going to put it. But it is I think that I know something that you want to see. It's not
yeah,
always
Mm.
I know something
Mm.
better than you. It's I know something I
Mm.
think you want to see, and that's what makes us who we are. So you don't end up
nice.
with too many quiet flowers. There are a few, but you don't
Yes,
end up with many.
yes. And that
No, that's
also means
entirely
that there
fine.
are
And actually,
multiple
again, going
ways.
back to that being real point, having to go and look something up, whether it be your own blog or something else, like it's real. Like we can't
Oh yeah,
expect our experts to just know everything in their heads at all times and be able to recall it straight out.
Yeah,
Like
one of the
yeah.
we
one
want to see the real side of people
one
in
of the things
sessions, in whatever. And
I learned as a trainer. So when I first started training, if they asked me a question I didn't know the answer to, that's what I filled my break and my lunch and was answering those questions. And then I realised I matured as a trainer at the point I went, I don't know. Should we Google it?
Mm.
There are other search engines available. Um, but it's to openly put up on the screen the search engine and type in the search and go, yeah, look, if we go there, oh yeah, no, that's a blog I recognise. That's a blog we'll go for. Because that teaches the room something else.
Yeah, how to find out for yourself.
And that's
And
really important to show people. Really
And
important.
it's totally fine to not have all the answers. Is equally important, is as equal as importance to finding the answer to the questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's what if people are doing job interviews and things, and I've helped people do interview people. One of the questions should be is, so how do you keep your skills up? What do you how do you handle a question you don't know how to answer?
I was going to ask you that question.
And go for Google and go for the Googling, Binging, or whatever else the search DuckDuckGo, the search engines out there, or with nowadays the AI tools out there, finding your tools that are out there that work. Obviously, being careful and not putting in data and all those things that we need to tell people not to do. But going and asking the question. So I learned SQL 30 years ago, plus 30 years ago. How do I do that again? How do I do that one? Let's just go on to Perplexity or wherever and go, remind me how you do this. So I'm not giving it any depth. I'm just asking plain questions. And it's just kind of an enhanced search engine, but it will write some code for you as well.
It is super useful. When I was at Squared Up, my 2 companies ago company, we had a capability to visualize data from PowerShell scripts. Now, I can't write PowerShell scripts, so every single one of my demos was from something I've got from some blog or from some piece of AI. Invaluable. Well, that brings us to the end of this episode of Experts Live UK Community Voices. But before we wrap up, we've mentioned this already, of course, but Experts Live UK, as in conference form, full conference form, is with us on the 11th and the 12th of June. Tickets are on sale now. And I've realised over the course of preparing for this podcast that I've been getting the pricing wrong this whole time. But don't worry, I am going to fix that today. But it's okay because it's sort of cheaper than I've been saying. So good news there. We have 1 and we have 2-day tickets. 1-day tickets are at £130. And for the full experience, of course, highly recommended. We have a few early bird tickets left at the bargain of £183. But afterwards, they go up to, still not exactly expensive, £215. So I would highly recommend you check it out. And if today's episode hasn't given you enough reasons in Laura's amazing skills and abilities, you'll be hearing over the coming weeks and months all the other cool speakers and, of course, the sessions that we have planned. So before we close, a huge thank you, Laura, for coming and joining us today and for sharing your experience, your insights and your stories. Thank you
for having me.
Thanks, Laura. Great to talk to you.
Thank you. Normally at this point, I would introduce our next guest, but in typical me style, I haven't yet kind of picked one. So if there's somebody you think we should interview, please do get in contact via LinkedIn, either with me or Geoff directly or at Experts Live UK. And if you like this episode, please do share it with your friends, your family, anyone who has a way of subscribing. It helps with getting the message out there and to share these awesome experiences. And thank you for watching this episode. We will see you next time. Thank you.